Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the Islamic concept of the end of time, which is known as Qiyamah. And we're going to focus on the cataclysmic events that get kicked off by one of the most powerful sounds you can imagine, the blowing of a trumpet.
So let's just start with this powerful image. This quote really sets the stage, doesn't it? It paints this picture of a massive, cosmic event that's been on hold since the beginning of time, just waiting for a single divine command to get started.
And the figure right at the center of all this is the angel Israfel. According to Islamic tradition, his one and only job, his entire purpose since creation, is to hold this trumpet to his lips and just wait, waiting for that one command to begin the end of everything.
Now, this whole sequence of events is called Qiyamah, which you can translate as the day of the deafening roar. And that name makes a lot of sense because it's a process that's really defined by two huge universe-altering moments.
The entire thing really hinges on two key trumpet blasts. First, you have Nafkat Es-Ok, which is the blast of extinction, and that means a total, absolute end to everything. Then, it's followed by the second blast, Nafkat Laboth, the blast of revival, a brand new beginning. These two sounds are basically the bookends for the whole event.
All right, so let's really dig into that first blast, Nafkat Es-Ok, and the incredible cascading chain of destruction it's said to unleash on the entire universe.
It's described as starting with this single, sudden sound that just doesn't stop. It just keeps getting louder and more intense. And the very first person to hear it, some guy just filling up his water trough. He dies instantly. And then, one after another, so does everyone else. As that deafening sound gets more and more intense, it triggers an earthquake on a scale that's almost impossible to comprehend. I mean, we're not talking about a normal tremor. The scriptures describe the whole planet being shaken violently, over and over, to its absolute breaking point.
And this detail really drives home the sheer terror of the moment. The shock is so profound, so completely overwhelming that the most basic, primal human bonds just snap. People will apparently look like they're drunk, not from alcohol, but just from the pure, crushing force of what's happening.
But here's the thing. The destruction isn't just limited to Earth. The texts are really clear that the entire fabric of the universe itself starts to completely unravel.
I mean, get this. It sounds like planetary gravity itself just fails. The Earth and all its mountains are literally lifted up off their foundations and then just smashed to dust in one single, colossal crash.
And this shaking is so violent that the Earth is described as basically throwing up everything inside of it. All the gold, the silver, all its hidden treasures are just spewed out onto the surface. But in the middle of all that chaos, no one even bothers to look at it.
And if you were to look up, the sky itself isn't safe either. It's described as being torn away, splitting apart, and opening up like a series of gates, showing for the very first time what's been hiding behind the veil of our world.
The cosmic order that we all take for granted? That's completely gone. The planets are no longer held in their orbits, they just scatter out into the void.
And, in one of the most dramatic images you can possibly imagine, the two great lights of our sky, the sun and the moon, are brought together. They collide, and that signifies the complete and total demolition of our solar system and the universe as we know it.
So, after all that cosmic destruction, a great silence falls over everything. Every single living thing, whether it's human, a spiritual being like a jinn, or even the angels themselves, is destined to die.
Yeah, this verse from the Quran makes it absolutely clear there are zero exceptions to this final universal end. It's even said that when this verse was revealed, the angels themselves finally understood, oh, this means us too.
But there's a really fascinating exception. The sources say that after that first blast, by God's will, 4 archangels are left standing. Gabriel, Michael, Israfel, the guy who blew the trumpet, and of course the angel of death.
But this is only a temporary situation. This moment is really just setting the stage for one final dramatic sequence where even these incredibly powerful beings will meet their end, one by one.
So, that leads us to the ultimate question, right? When every human, every jinn, and even the most powerful angels in existence are gone, what happens then? What does total and complete finality actually look like?
Well, and what has to be the ultimate act of finality? God commands the angel of death himself to die. Israel, the being who took the soul of every other living thing, becomes the very last of all creation to perish.
Okay, so let's shift gears now.
From that place of total silence and emptiness, let's move to the second blast, Nafkat al-Ba'th. This is the moment that builds from nothing into a universal revival.
So the revival process doesn't start with another big, violent earthquake. It's actually something quite different. A sort of miraculous rain starts to fall on the flattened earth. And from this rain, all the bodies begin to regenerate from a single, tiny, indestructible bone at the base of the spine.
And then Israfil, who is himself resurrected just for this one job, blows the trumpet a second time. And at the sound of that blast, every single human being who has ever lived rises up from the dust, fully formed, standing up from their graves all at once.
And this is where the sources leave us, with this incredibly powerful final image. You have all of humanity, from the very first person to the very last, all resurrected and standing there together, waiting. Which, of course, just begs the ultimate question: what exactly are they waiting for?